In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
Do you still struggle trying to find a sweetener that fits your ketogenic lifestyle? Then let me introduce you to Swerve. Swerve tastes like sugar and there's no funky aftertaste that you get from all those other high-intensity sweeteners. Swerve actually looks like sugar and you may not even realize it, but granular and particle size have a lot to do with how foods feel in the mouth. Because Swerve measures cup for cup just like sugar, it is super easy to use. Swerve has taken away the guesswork on how much to use in your recipes. You simply swap it 1-for-1 for sugar. Swerve is the perfect sweetener for baking and cooking, and unlike other sugar alternatives, Swerve browns and caramelizes just like sugar, which means creme brulee and meringues are even possible. The best part is Swerve has very little impact on blood sugar and insulin levels, making it perfect for a diabetic or anyone following a ketogenic lifestyle. Swerve is made from erythritol as well as oligosaccharides, which is a form of prebiotic fiber to help stimulate beneficial bacteria in the intestines. All the ingredients found in Swerve are from the United States and Europe, and Swerve has been in business for more than 16 years. Headquartered in the good old USA in New Orleans, everybody in keto is now using Swerve, and it's your turn too. Go to swervesweet.com to find a store near you, and it's also available on Amazon.com. Swerve, the ultimate sugar replacement.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live. So I am live here on Instagram, live here on Facebook, and we're going to talk all about a brand new subject here on my show called Jimmy Rants. So if you're brand new to Jimmy Rants, hop on over to jimmyrants.com. You'll see how the show works. We start off on Instagram Live. We also do some Facebook Lives, Instagram here, Facebook there. We also go live. Sometimes we go live on YouTube as well, trying to bounce it around a bit, you guys. And we're doing these Jimmy Rants all over the place to try to hit everybody where they are. So if you want to go follow me live, wherever you follow me, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, it's all the same username, Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Go find me at one of those places. If you missed the live, you can watch the replay all the time. Every single episode is posted on YouTube, so go find me on YouTube. You can type in a keyword search, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, we have the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is all about this brand new move to start taxing sugary drinks. So I'm going to read from a news article here all about this. Medical groups endorse new taxes and marketing restrictions on soda for the children. So what I want to talk about here today is if we allow a tax on sugar, which most of us in this community would encourage less consumption of sugar, obviously. But if we allow a tax to happen on sugar, what is to stop them, you guys, from coming after meat, coming after butter, coming after coconut oil, coming after anything with saturated fat and cholesterol in it? What is to stop them from coming there next? So while in principle it sounds good, yeah, let's tax the crap out of Coca-Cola so that people will not be encouraged to buy them anymore. The unintended consequence of that would be you would set a precedence of taxing a food for the sole purposes of curbing consumption, and the precedent will be set to do it on bacon, to do it on eggs, to do it on butter, to do it on really any meat. This is a slippery slope, you guys. So let's read the story. Two leading medical groups, the American Academy of Pediatrics and the American Heart Association, both issued a report this week that encouraged legislators and policymakers to hike taxes on sugar-sweetened beverages. Most commonly, that would be soda, and to restrict how companies can market soda to kids. Okay, I like the restriction on marketing soda to kids. That probably would help a little, although at this point, Pandora's box is open. The kids know what it tastes like. They're going to keep asking mom and dad for it. This is apparently the very first time either of these groups have publicly supported a food tax. Quite frankly, I'm surprised that this is the first time they proposed a food tax, because we know the AHA, American Heart Association, has a long-standing vilification of saturated fat. So you would have thought they would have called for some kind of a tax on saturated fat foods long before now. But good for them that they're going after sugar, but I think its sole purpose is to lay the groundwork for coming after meat and fat next. The joint report, called Public Policies to Reduce Sugary Drink Consumption in Children and Adolescents, calls for a broad implementation of policy strategies to reduce sugary drink consumption in children and adults. What are they going to do? I mean, I get you can stop letting them market directly to kids, sort of. I don't know how you completely remove that. What are they going to do? How are they going to undo this Pandora's box that they've opened? Because at this point, a lot of kids are highly addicted to sugary soda, and they'll keep drinking it. It urges cities, states, and the federal government to impose excise taxes on producers and distributors of sweetened beverages. So they want to go after the manufacturers and the people who distribute it. So let's go to Coca-Cola. So they want to tax Coca-Cola for having sugary beverages. Then they're going to also tax the delivery trucks, which Coca-Cola has their own delivery truck drivers. But if they use any other means of transportation to get their product to stores, they want to tax that too. What I always ask whenever taxation comes up as a means of curbing consumption is, where's the money go to? What's the money for? I don't know. This report comes as some states, such as Connecticut, are considering whether to adopt a statewide tax on all soda. Yeah, I still am vehemently against them taxing soda because it has sugar in it as a means of curbing your consumption. What would stop them from taxing meat, eggs, butter, because they want to curb your consumption of those things that they think are just as unhealthy as sugar? Something to think about. Beyond favoring excise taxes over sales tax, the report does not recommend a specific tax or taxes, though it does speak approvingly of taxes that would be between 10 and 20%. So if a 12-pack of Coca-Cola costs $5 now, they want to add a 10 to 20% tax, which would be something around 50 cents to $1 for a 12-pack of Coca-Cola. So that $5 12-pack becomes $5.50 to $6. The authors propose to use some of the money, so here's where they're going to use the money. Some of the money collected by such taxes so we can educate the public. Oh, what, pray tell, could they educate us about? Oh, well, good. Now that you have cut down on the amount of sugar from sodas that you've been consuming, here, let us tell you about something else that's very dastardly in your diet. Oh, yeah, that meat, those eggs, that cheese, that butter, it's all clogging your arteries and it's going to give you heart disease. Mark my words, they will do this. If the report's proposed taxes and marketing restrictions weren't enough, it calls also for a host of changes to federal nutrition programs, stricter nutrition labeling, and policies that promote consumption of healthy beverages like fat-free milk. Guys, all this is a marketing ploy by the American Heart Association and what's this other group? The American Academy of Pediatrics. Both are steeped in low-fatdom. And they know that if they can get a pile of money coming from this tax on sugary beverages, on specifically sodas, that they could propagandize us all. Because a host of changes to federal nutrition programs, they will lobby hard for the USDA dietary guidelines to get rid of saturated fat and cholesterol. It's probably going to do that anyway, recommending any at all. So that's no bueno. Then we have stricter nutrition labeling. So what are they going to do with the label? Are they going to get rid of no sugar added as a marketing tool? I don't know. That would be a good one to get rid of. And then policies that promote consumption of healthy beverages, which they describe as fat-free cow's milk. None of us think that fat-free cow's milk is a healthy beverage. You want to know what a healthy beverage is? It's called water. Water. That's a healthy beverage. Not orange juice, not Coca-Cola, not Capri Sun. Water. Maybe coffee without sugar. Maybe tea without sugar. Green tea, obviously. It's amazing what they try to pull on us. Let's see here. The report suggests that some states' efforts to preempt local soda taxes like California will stifle local innovation and public health policy, and so they think it might stifle innovation in this area. Let me keep going to see if there's any other part of this about the health. The mainstream media appears pleased with this report. The New York Times has already characterized all of the proposals as a, quote, set of bold policy recommendations. No, New York Times, it is not bold policy recommendations. All it is an outright blatant move to try to get funding to promote their propaganda against saturated fat. I believe that, you guys. The Baltimore Sun editorial board endorsed this proposal and said it was, quote, crucial to children's health. Guys, let's be real here. The only people that get harmed when you have taxes on cheaper types of crappy garbage foods, the only people that get harmed are the people that tend to not be able to afford this kind of thing. Now, they're so heavily addicted to this, though, that they're going to allocate money for the extra taxes. Like I said, a 12-pack of Coke goes from $5 to $5.50 to $6. So people will figure out a way to get it, and it's going to take away money from other areas of their life. So they're the ones that are hurt by this. We need to come up with education for these people, not forcing them to try to make a choice of, I'm going to spend that 50 cents to $1 more on Coca-Cola because I got to have that. Rather than, why don't we tell them that in one can of Coca-Cola, it's 45 grams of high fructose corn syrup. And if you divide that 45 by 4, that's over 11 teaspoons of sugar. And I don't think a lot of people even realize how much sugar is in a Coca-Cola. When you're sugar addicted and you see that little can of Coke, and most people don't buy cans anymore. They get the big old 20-ounce bottle, which makes all these numbers even higher. But if we just stick with one can of Coca-Cola, that is 45 grams of high fructose corn syrup, over 11 teaspoons of sugar, and in the entire human body, we have only one teaspoon of sugar at any given time. So if you drink just one Coca-Cola, and I used to do 16 a day back in my crappy garbage days, I would drink 16 cans of Coca-Cola a day. And I was flooding my body with tons upon tons upon tons of sugar. it's amazing and a miracle that I didn't get diabetes. For those who argue that the government shouldn't be in the business of telling people what to eat, this is the Baltimore Sun still. We say it is their job to protect the public health of the country's citizens. Well, they can protect the health without doing it through taxation. I'm just not understanding that. But do soda taxes really protect anyone? The argument in favor of these typically goes something like this. Americans drink soda. Americans are obese. Taxing soda will reduce the amount of soda that people will drink. If fewer people drink soda or everyone drinks less soda, then people in general will be less obese and or more able to attain and maintain a healthy weight. They pretend like that's the answer. They pretend like the only thing that impacts your weight is Coca-Cola. And I don't know about you, Coca-Cola contributed heavily to my insulin resistance that I deal with today. Coca-Cola contributed heavily to me weighing over 400 pounds at one point in my life. But I have the ramifications of Coca-Cola still to this day, and I haven't had one in 15 and a half years. I haven't had a single Coca-Cola, and I'm still dealing with the ramifications of it. So removing the Coca-Cola from my life did not magically make all of my weight management issues go away. And yet they're pretending like that's what's going to happen. It's overly simplistic. Even proponents know this isn't true. An article in the American Heart Association journal Circulation noted what's been reported elsewhere, that Americans have already been drinking fewer sugary drinks over the past decade. That's true. Coca-Cola's net worth, their sales are down over 40%. And in the sugary soda category, people have been eschewing sugary soda. So this is kind of too little too late, I suppose. They're already making those changes if their theory was that it was contributing to obesity, and yet now they're consuming less of it than they have in the past decade. This doesn't really hold water. Americans are getting fatter while also consuming less of this thing that they now want to tax. So a soda tax advocate, they want to do soda taxes as a way to reduce soda consumption. They fail to detail how reduced soda consumption does and could lead to the outcomes. In other words, they haven't really tested, okay, what's the threshold of price that will keep people from buying Coca-Cola? What is that threshold? Is there one? And if there is one, then what is that threshold? Maybe that's what they figured up this 50 cents to $1 is. That, people will spend $5 on a 12-pack of Coca-Cola, but if you make it $5.50, you make it $6, they're out. I don't believe that for a minute. I think most people would come up with that extra dollar to pay for it and then take it away from some other part of their life. Some tax proponents admit they don't know the impact of this tax on obesity and health. No, they don't know what the impact will be, because it's not about that. I honestly believe this tax, and any tax, you guys, on sugar, whether they in the future tax meat, they tax saturated fat, whatever their purpose is with these taxes, it's not obesity and health. It's not to lower obesity. It's not to improve health. It pretty much is a means for getting money that they can further propagandize you about some other thing that they think you should not be eating. So, this guy that wrote this article says, I switched over to a low-carb diet last year. I've avoided foods and drinks that contain sugar or otherwise high in carbs. I cook most of my meals at home. I walk, I bike, I hike, run, play soccer. I've lost a good amount of weight over the same stretch of time. I'm happy with my keto diet. I'd never advocate to the supremacy of keto, nor would I encourage others to try to mimic my dietary choices, because in the end, what you eat is your choice. So supporters of soda taxes want to take away your choice, so don't let them. So again, they're coming after and they're proposing something that sounds so good and beautiful to the ears of people that eat a ketogenic diet. Let's tax sugary soda. Sounds so good, doesn't it, you guys? Let's tax it. Yeah, let's prevent people from buying it. Yeah, maybe we'll be able to get them off of the sugar. But the fact is, we don't know that it'll work. And then the monies that come in from that, we already know the organizations that are pushing this, they are the ones that are anti-saturated fat, anti-meat. They do not like this keto movement, not one iota. And so if they can get money from, who's gonna oppose a sugar tax? If they get money from a sugar tax, that then they already admitted part of their stated purpose of using this is to have education services for the public. We want to educate them on what good nutrition is. Well, we already know the stated purpose of the American Heart Association and other groups like that is a low-fat diet, is healthy whole grains, is no meat, is no saturated fat. Guys, this is not good. And so I am vehemently against a sugar tax, because it will open the door to them further taxing meat and saturated fat later. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. For some reason, my Facebook page is completely blank, so I'm going to come exclusively to Instagram. Hello, hello. Thank you guys for being here on this Saturday night. Appreciate you being here. Alberto says, sugar tax, really? Oh boy, this rant's going to be intense. Yeah. Then they will tax everything. Exactly, Keto Cheeto Mama. There's just something to me about let's tax something because we want people to consume less of it, which never made sense to me, because of the point of taxation is to get a certain amount of money allocated for some particular stated reason, and yet you curb consumption of the thing that you're taxing. Don't you eventually eliminate that tax from curbing the consumption? It just doesn't make any sense if you stop and think about it. It's opening Pandora's box. Yes, Ashton. Sin taxers are thinly veiled prohibition. Say no to a nanny state, says Tam. Yeah. Kimberly says, have these people who are coming after keto so hard come after any other diet or way of eating? Kimberly, I have been in the nutritional health space for the past 15 years, pretty heavily. And in all the 15 years, I'm trying to think, I know they went after Dr. Atkins really hard, but he died before I got into this space. And I don't remember paleo getting this much attack when they were hot. So this is one of the biggest barrages I've ever seen since I've been online. Greg says, I've already heard some politicians talk about a tax on beef for climate change. And yeah, see, this is the other reason why I keep bringing you guys all these stories about what the vegans are doing behind the scenes, because that is the next big thing on their agenda, is they do want to put a tax on meat. Again, for the same reasons they want to tax sugary soda. Ooh, it's unhealthy for you, so we need to curb your consumption of it. And so they're trying to pull the same thing on meat. They want to tax it to curb your consumption, and as you said, their stated goal is the whole environmental reason to prevent global warming. Sounds like they want it on the money trail. That's right, Kimberly. There is a public health cost to cigarettes and sugary soda, says CC Guide Dogs. So there is a public health cost to cigarettes and sugary soda, I agree. But does that mean we need to tax those things? Now, a lot of times people will say, well, look what they did. They put a tax on cigarettes, and that helped to curb the consumption of people smoking cigarettes. But sugar is, again, one of those slippery slopes. It's things that people eat, and it's highly addictive, just like the cigarettes are. Yeah, I'm just not liking it. I'm trying to think, would there be anything if they, once they put the tax on the cigarettes, was there anything else that had an effect on, quite like sugar would? Because sugar is a food. You can now go to other foods. So they've set the precedent for other foods. I'm trying to think what that would equate to in cigarettes. I don't think it does. They started disguising health concern to increase taxation in Puerto Rico many years ago. This is not a good signal for the future economy. Hope it's not the case here, Alberto. Yeah, slippery slope, guys. My sister, who is a DO in Southwest Virginia, pregnant moms bring huge bottles of soft drinks into the hospital and also share with previous babies in sippy cups. Makes me very sad, Kimberly. Yeah, Kimberly, I was actually reading a story today about our friends in West Virginia. Dr. Mark Cucuzella is a medical doctor there, and he's a keto physician, and he has been haranguing his hospital to remove sugary drinks, not just soda, but also fruit juices and sweet tea and all this stuff from the cafeteria there at the hospital. And today they announced they are going to be removing energy drinks that have sugar in them, soda, sweet tea, anything that has sugar in it. Pretty amazing. And see, that's the way you make change happen. You don't make it available. And if you don't make it available, or if you make it available, don't put it and don't, market it so heavily. This is the problem, you guys. And there are good ways of doing it versus bad ways. CC Guide Dogs, you're making the same argument that those opposed to cigarette taxes, freedom to ruin our lives, government stay out. Yeah, it's definitely a more laissez-faire attitude with taxation. The purpose of taxation should not be to curb consumption. The purpose of taxation is to raise money for some stated purpose. The problem is their stated purpose is so obscure and vague that they could make the stated purpose whatever they want it to be. Just wait, IRS will tax us on our BMI status. CDOC, you make fun of that, but I've actually seen, this has been many years ago, but I remember there was this move that doctors' offices track your weight. It obviously never got traction, but they wanted doctors' offices to track your weight, and if you weren't at a certain level of weight loss by your next visit, that you would have a higher premium or something. I think it was tied to insurance companies. God help us if they ever get to that point, and there would be an uproar if that happened. Sounds like vegan propaganda, says Ashton. Maybe. Some of us rely on a ketogenic meat-based diet for health. This could ruin us. Well, it's not going to ruin me because I'm calling out the sugar tax now so that they then later won't come after meat. I'm glad I hunt big game and fish all summer, says Cheyenne. Yep, that's one way to avoid the tax. The sugar tax in Seattle is not going well, says Alan. All right, Alan. Good to hear.
Hey.
This is awesome. Steps in the right direction. Yes?
They're here.
Oh, do I have to be down there?
Well, they wanted to see you. The girls wanted to see you.
Oh, the girls are with them. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm almost done.
Okay.
Obesity is an impulse control disorder, says Alan. So, guys, this is a crazy, crazy story. And I know it's controversial to be against a sugar tax. But here's the thing. If you allow a sugar tax now, do not be surprised when they propose and get implemented a tax on things that we consider healthy, like meat, like saturated fat. And these things will become taxed just the same way. So the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants is we can't allow this to happen. So do your part to speak up against this. Now, what can you do to help your neighbors and your friends and your family who are heavily addicted to sugar? You can teach them. You can educate them. You can give them good information. Point them to Jimmy Rants. Point them to books about sugar and the effects that it's doing on the body. Point them to resources that are available. They are everywhere, you guys. And let's educate them individually. We don't need to force the issue by taxing people. You're so right. We need to be more self-sustainable. That's right, Flowers. So let's all do our part. And I think we can curb the soda consumption. And it's happening. That's the good news. People are already curbing their consumption. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. You'll see that we start off live on Facebook Live, Instagram Live, and YouTube Live every once in a while as well. So go follow me live. I'm at Living Low Carb Man in all of those places. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay on YouTube. So go and check it out. All the past episodes are on YouTube. Type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, we have the best of the best moments of this year's show in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcast and Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. So until next time, we'll see you then.